Heller Barnes, and of course, top billing, and then is to Mr. Heller here, who we're gonna have a pretty good time today. We're gonna be talking about pre-read, so it's kind of a show-off type of day. And so, Johnny, first, before we do any of that, tell me something good there, sir. What's been happening?
I'll tell you a couple good things at the top, and I'll repeat it at the end. I just got, the book I did about the Gales of November, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, just got an audiophile earbook award, which is nice. It's a great book by John U. Bacon about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's not only interesting and factual and deeply researched and really good, but it's quite moving as well. I mean, really, it talks this the surviving families and stuff. It's still a giant factor in many lives in that area of Michigan, and it's a hell of a story and well told by John. So that's nice. And coming up on, I'll find during the show, I'll send it to you, Don, the, thing. John Florian, you know John Florian,
Hmm.
don't you, from
Sure.
voiceover actor?
Yeah.
He's got Sean Pratt and I gonna be doing a fiction, nonfiction Zoom webinar January 27th and 28th.
Cool.
So I'll send you the sign up so you can pop that in there, and that's what's happening, and I believe the rest of the show is the Don Barnes Show, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, I'm gonna talk about pre-read. This has been so most of you know. I should have brought this one up. So let me see if I can do that. Anyway, I have something called pre-check. And pre-check is after you've done your audio, you can check it and make sure that it meets all the ACX standards or a publisher standards if you need to, and that's called pre-check. And I did that when I started a year ago, and that took me about 9 months to do, and no one will appreciate it. And that one's free, it's out there, but you can run your audio and you can see it, and I'll show that off at the end after we do this one. And then I went on to part two, and today we're talking about pre-read, and I'll actually put it up on the screen here so you can see this. But before I do, here's the point. The idea is that we do prep for every single book, obviously, and but let's say Johnny had a series where he's done 15 of an author's thing, books, and a new script comes in for book 16. Well, you know what? I'll bet he probably already knows the characters. He knows that author. He knows what they're doing, but he still has to prep for the thing and make sure that there isn't something he doesn't know. So he either, and I know he's done this before, he pays some preppers and they'll go ahead and go through and give him an answer, or he'll be able to run this. And what it'll do is in 10 minutes, it'll give him the story arc and details about the chapters and characters and vocabulary. And I'll show that off in a second. But the
Before you
point
do that,
is, go ahead.
can I tell people why they might want preppers sometimes?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I think it's important to understand what we're doing. There are people, colleagues of ours whose businesses proofing and prepping and all this stuff. This is a tool not just for the actor who wants to do it themselves, but also for them.
Oh, yeah.
It allows them, because here's the deal, using this tool of Don's, you'll see how amazing it is, how fast it can be. But the preppers can still do it for you. It just helps them get to their end game faster.
Yeah. Well,
Um, if you don't have time, if you have a few books in your queue and you're a little tied up and prepping's taking a long time, a lot of people, a lot of narrators I know use preppers. They still sometimes look at the chapters before they do it, or they at least do something in the book. But this helps you pinpoint. Prepping can help you pinpoint who the character is, what the arc of the scene is, all that kind of stuff. And very importantly, if you can just do prepping and have them look up words for you that you can't say, this does that, and you can still hire a prepper who can use Don's prepping um,
well,
machinery here to make it happen. That's why.
yeah, and I have one of my big testers is a preps for an amazing number of high profile narrators. I didn't understand how much she did for how many people until we were looking at something and she's like, "Oh, I know that book. I prepped that book for." Because what I've asked people to do during the testing is to go ahead and test books they've already done so they can validate the results. Otherwise, you don't even know. I'm going to show you an example here, and because you don't know the book, you don't know if the whole thing's BS, what I've got here coming out for answers. But people have gone through what they're doing. And I have some major preppers who have helped me with this. And what they say is, yeah, so Johnny calls up today and says, "Hey, I've got a book. I needed it back in a week and a half." And they think, "Ah, I've got 4 books lined up right now," because they didn't know Johnny had another one that he needed in 2 weeks. And sometimes they can put it in their schedule, and sometimes they can't, because I do have one guy who paid somebody to do 78 hours worth of prepping because that's what it took on this one book. And, the publisher did reimburse him for some of that, but 78 hours because it had so many vocabulary words. And so I ran that book through the system, and in 10 minutes, she's just like, that's, but she adds value, and she knows this narrator, and she knows that here's some things that he might struggle with and here's some things less, and so she's able to take this and go beyond. And really, one of the things I see for people that are prepping is, yeah, you'll take this tool in 10 minutes, you'll have a foundation, and then you'll take it and you'll morph it and make sure that it's totally tailored for Mr. Heller here. Or if you're working with Sean Pratt, hey, he has a preference for this dictionary and that, and you can go ahead and tailor it. And then you actually could return something to him in a couple days if that's what his needs were, or you can wait a couple weeks. But she's like, I'll be using this. So the people I think will be some of my best customers are people that are currently prepping, but their model will change a little bit. They're going to be able to charge less and handle things that they just never, I'm already booked, I can't get to that this week, and they can have something back to you in a couple days because they have the core. And any questions about that, Johnny, before I go and show a demo?
No, none, no.
Okay. So,
All makes sense to me. Are people, by the way, just so you know, I can't see if there's a chat going on, I can't see it.
oh,
So
okay.
I
There
don't
is a
know.
chat going on, and I don't have it showing on the screen. That's funny.
Okay,
So,
good.
Christy Baarns, which is kind of funny, is she's somebody that's tested, and she's given me feedback, some great feedback. We share the same last name, but we're not related at all. We actually have a different spelling, and so she said hello on the chat there. So I'm watching the chat, and I'll talk about that. But this is called PreRead, and it's still in the final testing phase. I'm actually right now in the last little test that to make sure it's all right before it goes live. And here's some details about it that I'll show you. So I dragged in a file, and it happens to be that it tells me this is the results that you will get in less than 10 minutes. I'll do it live here in a few minutes, but this is where we're going. It figured out that there's 90,000 words, that the finished hours are 9 hours and 42 minutes. Also, hidden things, details, depth that you won't recognize at first. It's divided the book and took that 9 hours and gave you a complete summary of what's going on. It's about 5 paragraphs, talks about the arc of the story and what happened, the resolution in the end, where it started with, and then it breaks it down into chapters. Now, I think most people will read that once just to get a feel for the story if they don't already know it. But even if when you're reading it, I don't know if you remember, but all of learning, there's this whole concept that we've all heard about 400 times, which is tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. It's a famous, structure for both
It's
learning and doing a presentation. So if you're going to read a book and you already have a general idea of what the book is about because you've looked over this summary, and then you've looked over the chapters. So what happens here, every one of these extra little tabs here, and I'll show you these in detail, have something that allows you to expand them and contract them. So you see these little chevrons here, and there's tooltips on everything. So if you hover over it, it says, hey, expand and collapse. Oh, what's funny is the tooltips don't show up on my demo screen. There's a little tip that says expand, collapse. But if I click this, I now get a summary of that chapter in a little more detail, and there's a couple character lists. Now, the character lists, at first they don't, like, I've thought about this for hundreds of hours, and here's what happens. Any character that's mentioned in this chapter breakdown will show up here as somebody that's mentioned. Now, by the way, in this story, there's something called King, which happens to be a dog. And so that dog does not have a speaking role. I mean, you might say wolf or something, but but he is mentioned and talked about. Therefore, he shows up as a character that will show up. And there is a little one sentence about each of the characters to refresh your memory of what they are referred to in this chapter. So Mike here might be called Michael or Sheriff Mike or Sheriff, I don't remember his last name, in another chapter, but in this chapter he was called Mike. And it talks about him, Chief Deputy Murphy, and it gives you just a little tiny breakdown here. And every single chapter in the book is broke down so that you can come back, and you could come back 2 weeks from now when you're actually on chapter 14 and refresh your memory on what's going on, who the characters are, what they're talking about. These characters here are everybody, quote, including a dog, who are mentioned in this chapter, but the dog does not have a speaking role, so you don't need to come up with a voice for dog unless you want a woof woof. Good, go for it. And then there's a whole nother tab here, which are speaking characters. And when you look at the speaking characters, it's always the same. We can take and we can expand all of them at once, and then I get a big, now they're set up in groups. I live close to Hollywood here, so that means that it's going to be stars, and that's people that have the biggest speaking roles in your book. We have co-stars, and those people have a smaller role, but when you span them, they still have 2 paragraphs. The stars have lots of paragraphs and backstory type things, and then some pronunciation hints, and all of them can be expanded. And with one click, you can expand them all and scroll down. With a click on the individual things, you can look at Sergeant Jefferson here and get an idea of who he is, his alternate names, and then a voicing hint, formal, professional speech patterns appropriate for a sergeant. No specific accent or dialogue noted, so it went through and the book looking to see, does Sergeant Jefferson have a specific accent? Now this guy, for example, educated, formal, precise, standard American English, can speak, I don't even know what that word is, the people's tongue. That's something that has to do with if you're Apache Indian, and he speaks this. And then so it gives some details about his Apache background, and so that you know when you're voicing him, you can decide how much Apache you want to put in there or not, but you at least know that he is of that heritage, and you can make a decision. He has a master's degree in criminology, um, and all sorts of details about him, which would give you the idea. Now, I talked this Maria McCann and I were talking about how, as a performer, Johnny's doing this to me all the time, saying, well, I want to know their backstory, but I want to know their emotional, like not everything. I don't want to know that they grew up with a dog necessarily, but I want to know something. How do people see him? How does he, so his tone can shift instantly to become ice. This is other people. He snarls. He's connected to his Apache roots, speaking the people's tongue. And so it gives you some ideas about him. Then when you're reading, yeah, you can fill in additional blanks there. There are little details that no one, I'll show you on vocabulary here. Now, then we go over to vocabulary, and it went through and it found 77 words in this 9 hours that it thinks most people will have an issue with. Now, I have to tell you, as my wife looked at this, she's like, well, I know that word. I know that word. And I'm like, well, you're educated and you're smart and you've been doing this for your whole life. So that's cool. Somebody like me, I can't pronounce the. Is it the, that? Yeah. So sometimes there's going to be words in here that don't apply to you. And then there are going to be words like, check this out. It picked up the fact that in this, in Arizona, there's something called AHCCCS. Okay, that's an acronym or something. And then it's pronounced as the word access. Now, so here's what happened. It went out and looked up that this is something in Arizona, and it's an acronym in Arizona, and it's usually pronounced this way. Now, I'm going to give you a couple more hints, and then I'll show you some things I think will really make you excited. Who would have known that AHCCCS is pronounced as access? I mean, I don't
Nobody.
know, so it's doing some homework for you, and it's pretty amazing what it can come up with. And this one is a colloquialism, and it's talking about different things, and it goes on and on and on. And bureaucrat. Now, almost all of us know about bureaucrat. It also found a sentence in the book that was used. So for me, this is like, well, why did it put that one in? The reality is there's no way for it to be perfect. And I'm constantly tuning it to figure out how to have it not give you words that you should know or probably know, and how to have it give you words that are helpful and that's it's an art. I can tell you, I've spent at least 100 hours tuning this thing, and I still am doing it. I did it this morning, and I kind of messed something up this morning. It kind of cracked me up. After all these hours, I messed it up. All right. So, but then here's the other thing that's going to happen. Maybe you have a specific word, you're in the middle of it and you want to find it. Well, yes, you can sort it forward, alphabetically forward and back. That's easy to do. I click once and it just went to the Z's, and clicked once again and it's back at the A's. But let me find a word in here that I want. Oh, B-U-C-U. I can't pronounce that one, but I could ask Mr. Heller. Oh,
Bucephalus.
the name of the horse of Alexander the Great. Yeah, now that's
Bucephalus.
in my wheelhouse. I don't even know who I've heard of Alexander the Great,
He was
but
a brother of Frank the OK.
okay, that's or Don the okay, yeah. Uh, so also, took the amount of time it took to get it to give me the respelling and then the official. If you know IPA, then you get both of those and stress and whatever. But it also knows it in context. I'll show you something over here. But watch this. If I knew a couple letters of it, BU, then there's that word that I was looking for. Pretend I was looking for that word. And as I continue to type, it'll get me down to that one word. So it means that if there's something that you're looking for 2 weeks from now, because you're in the middle of the book and you go, oh, Mirandized, yeah, that's a Mirandized. Okay, well, whatever. It's right there. Okay. So I can start typing M and I'm closer. If I can remember a couple letters, then I can get right to it very quickly and it'll just screen it out. And so all that works. I see so there's some questions there, and then I'll show you a couple more cool things, and then I'll read through the questions and answer them. Now, sometimes you're going to go, well, I don't like the definition that this stupid thing got. All right, that'll work. So what you can do is over in this section here, right now I have 6, and these are going to be customizable. You can put in your own stuff here. But right now, Merriam-Webster, Cambridge, Forvo, YouTube, Youglish, and Google pronunciation, which I think is highly underrated. I cannot believe how good the Google pronunciation stuff is.
What's the first one? M-Web?
That's Merriam-Webster.
Oh, Merriam-Webster. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And also I may get something better so that these are easier. I thought, oh, I should go get their logos and stuff, but whatever. Right now, this is what it is. We're still in the final. I'm tuning all sorts of things, making it look better. But now watch this. So here's a word here that I think I should be able to say without needing it here. But if I want, with a single click, it will go out. Now, what I don't know, yeah, it did show it, okay? It went right to that, and it brought up, because I asked for arrangement, there it is right there, and I can get I can listen to it if I wish. So it has 6 that are in there right now, and there even is a way, it's hidden. I'm not going to tell you how to do it today. I can actually have it show me all 6 of these and pop 6 windows stacked up right on top of each other, and
Wow.
boom, you can go through, because maybe you want to try the Youglish version of this, and I will do that. And so that would be this one here. And now what comes up is, here's how to pronounce arrangement in English. And then, of course, if you've used Youglish, you know how it works, and you can go ahead and you can go to the next one and go to the next one. And I'm not going to do all that. But point being, instead of having to copy paste out of the manuscript and then going to 6 sites, you have them all here, and you will be able to customize that to whatever your favorite, like maybe you don't like Merriam-Webster, maybe you don't like Cambridge, maybe you don't like YouTube, and you think some other one's better. I'll let you customize those, and that'll handle some vocabulary stuff. So there's details. If you drill down on this, there's even more for some words. Just depends on the word. But it's amazing that it could go out and figure out that an acronym in context was specific to Arizona, which is kind of wild that you think, if you gave me these 7 these characters, that's 6. I'm counted that in my own head with one and a half hands. Um, that 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 would come up and be known as something in Arizona. I would have never got that right. You would have shot me. It's just there's no way to do that. So there's tons and tons and tons of depth here. By the way, characters, if you wanted to find a character, you can do the same filter here. Same thing with chapters. If you want to find something quickly, you can do that. I think you'll be blown away at the depth. And I'll just, Johnny, any questions or anything that I should kind of point out there?
Well, I mean, there's so much here, and you've done so much. What I really enjoy is the way the pronunciation is written out the way I like it written out. I can see there's two ways to do it. There's the official, whatever the hell you call it, proofreader rate that you're on right now,
Yeah,
but the way you have it in front of that is the way I like to see it.
me too.
And because that's how people talk, you know, so it's easier. I didn't s well, I the other one takes me an hour and a half to figure out how they want me to say it.
Listen, you're going to shoot me before I'm going to figure out how to say. I look at these and go, who
But
knows the? Well, I find
yeah,
out
but
that
some people do. Lots of
there's a
people do it,
lot
right?
of people that do. It's just a lot of not me's. Okay,
Yeah.
people that are smarter than me go do this, and it. Oh, here's another Arizona thing that it figured out that in context with this book, it's set in Arizona. And because of that, the Arizona
Every
Department of Public Safety, and it's telling you that the way they pronounce it is five separate letters. And now I'll take a couple questions here.
yeah.
Let's see. And a little bit of testing, I was amazed at the accuracy in which it identified the probable heritage, Turkish, Arabic, and many of the names and words. Um, so um, the thing is it's amazing that I'm using Gemini to help me with a bunch of Italian. It speaks fluent IPA and also simply an accurate phonetic guide. Yes. So by the way, in the background here, I'm using almost Google technology on the back end is what's driving parts of this. So just so you know, um, at least 2/3 of this is not AI. 2/3 of this I've got 10 to 15,000 lines of code there that is doing things to pre-process it, and that one book requires at this point over 100 individual calls out to Gemini to get everything to happen. And for those who care about this, and we all should, I use the paid 100% paid services. Even when I'm testing it, I've spent just in the last month $400 just in testing fees to run at least 2,000 different runs of this thing, and I pay for every single one of them. But the beauty of that is um, Google, if you have the paid tiers, then none of the data is kept or used for training purposes. And you know, because I don't know if you know this, but some publishers prohibit their narrators from using AI on their scripts. Okay. I've seen that. And the reason they do that is because if you use one of the free services, part of the agreement on most of the free services are that you are allowing the AI to train with that data. And that's what, and then once you get to the paid ones, no. The paid ones, and this is 100% paid, but really the number of lines of code that are managing the whole thing behind the scenes, it's crazy how much work there is outside of the AI. AI is doing a bunch of things. It is putting this and that together. But in order to do it reliably, it's doing literally 100 little chunks to get this kind of data. And the reason it does that is I could get it to give me answers on a one-off basis by not having it get all the little chunks. What I found out is to be reliable to where I can do it day in and day out and get the right answers over and over and over again. It required breaking things up into manageable chunks, so I guarantee that it works when you need it to work. And then it has a fallback and a simple thing. If you do spicy, all right, so Johnny decides that he's going to become, he's going to do something under a pseudonym and it's all erotica. Okay. Johnny
Don
goes
Baarns
into
would be
the
my name. Yeah.
Johnny erotica. Okay. Okay. Instead of Johnny Quest. Uh, so pretend he decided to do that and he was going to use it. So for whatever, he's going to do that. Well, you can't use most AI if you send AI a book for Google anyway, Google will just say, nope, kind of says, F you, I am not doing your spicy stuff. And it just sends you back, sorry, content blocked. All right. And so what we do is no one will appreciate this. But when we do all the chapters, as it's going in, Google will reject it if it's got a spicy thing. It even if you had a war story or a horror thing, a horror that you cut off somebody's arm with a chainsaw. I've heard of that. Okay, I haven't done it yet, but I've heard about it,
Yeah, it's
and
early in the day yet. Yeah.
I've run away from people attempting to do that. But so let's say you had a horror script, and it's a it's a fantasy. It's not a real thing, so you're not cutting off anybody. You're cutting off a zombie's arms, but that zombie who gets hurt or mean whatever, you do something mean to that zombie in the story, well, that'll flip off all the Google content things and go, oh, you're hurting somebody, you're promoting violence. Nope, we're not doing it. So behind the scenes, as the chapters go in, when we get a content block, we actually take that chapter and we go to another AI service and pay a lot of money to have it rewrite it and take out the stuff that a censor and make it PG with the exact same characters, and where they had a line that had something in it that would trip it up, instead of saying they cut off his arm, they had an intense physical fight, but they give it it's just rewritten behind the scenes to be PG with the same characters, the same lines best they can. Anything that doesn't need to be cleansed is not, and so then we can process that, and then that way we get it, and it's all happening behind the scenes. You don't even know what happened. It takes it an extra I'll take an extra minute to rewrite a bunch of stuff, so it can handle spicy things and romance things and horror things, and behind the scenes it's doing just a crap load of work when it finds out that Google won't accept it, and does a bunch of things. So let me go through the comments here, and I'll take some questions. Oh, Google pronunciation rocks. Yeah, it's really a lot better than I ever thought. And Gemini is being used to get these definitions in the vocabulary. And then but let me check through here. So I like both IPA and phonetic. Yes, well, I will just say you are a better person than me, but that's a low bar. I have a hard time with the IPA stuff, and let's pretend something. I think I'm reasonably smart in that I know programming languages very well, and I understand and I can think in those terms. But I look at this little thing right here, that's an IPA, uh, International Phonic Association, International Phonic. I don't know, it's something like that. Um, but most of them, I look at it and it's like worse than not being able to
Well, yeah,
pronounce arrangement.
look at the top one, Apachiness.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't look at that little I
yeah,
don't look at the, IPA thing and say, "Oh, I got that."
yeah,
We recorded books when I started way back when, used to do that, and they'd send it to you, I'm like, "I'm as clueless now as I was when I gave you the word list." So
yeah.
I still have to go look it up.
Well, that's me too. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
So, but
this is
what I did,
great.
but what I did find out was there are a whole bunch of people smarter than me that use that, and it's helpful. And so
Yes,
therefore, I just
both are
said
there.
we'll put both there, and then you can use whatever works for you, and that's cool. And but here's what's going to really happen. Let's say you do this before you start the book. Um, yeah, and then so somebody did ask, I think I answered that question, are you paying for this so none of the import is absorbed by the AI monsters? Absolutely. Oh, International Phonic Alphabet. Thank you. um, but yes, I'm doing 100%. If I pulled up my dashboard, it would show you that I've spent over $400 testing this over the last month. I know. I happened to look at it the other day and said, "Holy moly, that's in 1 month." I've been doing
May
this
I ask
multiple
you a
months.
question?
What's that?
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't you can't see my pointer, I don't think, can you?
No, I can't.
Alright, so at the top, it says VO Jumpstart Pre-Read Book Prep Beta.
Yes.
Now, you see where you have the mail icon and the cup of coffee icon and the
Yes.
sun and all that crap? Is that stuff, on this beta, or is that on your computer?
No, no, no. That's on that's on the beta when
So,
you
what's a cup of coffee mean on the beta? What is it?
oh, it means it will pop a little box at some point that gives you the address so you can send me coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What about the sun? Like, I
Oh,
send you sunshine?
the sun is that's a great one. That one will switch it from light mode to dark mode because different people. So here's I like dark mode. My wife hates dark mode. So, okay, who cares? You do you. If you prefer to see everything in light mode, then now all the chapters are in light mode. And obviously, you
Oh,
can look at it this way if that makes you happy to
yeah,
see
go back to the
everything.
other one, that's hard to read.
Say that again?
Yeah, go back to the dark guy.
Yeah.
They're better.
Oh,
And so what's the battery next to the coffee?
actually to book a private conference with me.
This is very
That's
cool. You
hit my
know
calendar, and then watch this. So this one says this book is 90,000 words. You
yeah,
know, there's a sign behind you, and that sign behind you says something like, um,
take it easy there, pal.
"Take it
Yeah.
easy." Yes, and you know what's funny is I published something, and now that is not working right now. Ah, here's that. So people go, "Well, how did you figure out that this was 9 hours and 42 minutes?" And I say, well, because right now the current speed is set at 9,300 words per minute. That's its default. That's the standard. But if you click on this, it's supposed to pop a little box. And what's happening is because I'm in this demo mode, it's not showing the little box, but you can adjust that. And if you
Oh, you
adjust
can
it,
change it to the way you speak. Yeah.
yeah, so Johnny Heller is going to say, "Oh, but I do maybe 9,000 words per hour," and he's just a little more relaxed about it. And if I'm talking, maybe it's 9,500 words, but you can tune it, and then your finished hours is going to reflect whatever your rate is for that, whatever you do for that. And this is the kind of little subtle thing that everybody will be able to adjust their own for their
Yeah.
rate, meaning I read faster, I read slower, and then it's going to give you the total finished hours. And even on the chapters, what people don't realize, it's giving you how many words are in the chapter. And then
And how
based
long a
on
chapter is.
that, it
Brilliant.
projects that this one is going to be a 15-minute read. And therefore, you can decide at the beginning of your day, um, you know, that I'm going to do these 4 chapters because they are 12 minutes, 9 minutes, whatever they are, and you can know in advance that, hey, this one's probably going to take me 15 minutes to finish, 15, and then maybe it takes you 25 minutes to do 15 minutes, whatever. How long it
Yeah.
takes you to do. But if you're at the end of your day and you want to decide, do I want to do one more chapter? And you look at this one here that says it's only 9 minutes, then you might say, oh man, I've got 30 minutes. Let me
I
get
got
this
9
done.
minutes in me. Yeah. So let me ask you this because I love this, but one thing I wanna, point out,
Uh-huh.
when it says 15 minutes on this chapter, 9 minutes on this, what I do currently is if I think I'm at the end, I say, how long is the next chapter?" I look at the page numbers and I decide, yeah, is it 6 or is it 23?
Okay.
If it's 6 or 7, I can knock so it's the same thing, but these numbers, the 9 hours and 42 minutes and the 15 minutes, are based on the, algorithm of n 9,300 words, uh,
Per hour.
whatever you have it set up at.
Yes. But
But, within any given project, the actor may go slower on deeper scenes, so there could be changes. So I look at the 9 hours and 42 minutes, that's either a 10 that's like a 10-hour book,
right.
probably, because I don't think you need to know the total until you're done, and then you add it all up and
Oh
send
yeah,
it
yeah,
in.
yeah. This is just
But this is based on stats, not necessarily acting choices. Yes?
yeah, 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 yeah. So, well, no, actually, we know your acting choices up front, and therefore we're calculating it perfectly down to the second,
No, you're
because
not.
no, uh,
You liar.
yeah, no, we're making a total educated guess based on whatever your average is, and you can adjust. And if you keep seeing that you come up shorter or longer than this, cool, adjust it so that as you adjust it, it'll remember it, and it'll go ahead and just like it will remember, if you switch over here to light mode, it'll come up next time in light mode and it'll stay there because that's what you prefer. It's the same with you setting your time. It will stay there because that's what you prefer. And there's a bunch of little details like that. And I'll show you something else that I think this is one of the things that I think is the most helpful. First time you do this, it can take, depending on the number of vocabulary words, this one only had 77. And so that's, in my mind, that's a minimal amount for a 9-hour book.
Yeah,
Somebody gave me a book that was 13 hours, but it had over 1,000 vocabulary words because it was a fantasy, sci-fi type thing, and it had made up words, and it's just wild.
yeah.
And it went through and did it. But So you have a whole bunch of words, but by the time you might narrate this 2, 3 weeks from now. So one of the things it allows you to do is go ahead and save this file, and that way, instead of taking 10 minutes for the thing to go do all its work again, it'll save it
It's
in
there.
the current state that you have it. And then you can go ahead and use the open. And when you ask for the open, you didn't see it came up on my other screen. I don't know if it'll show. I don't think it'll show on the demo. But nonetheless, a box came up that you could open it, which means in 10 seconds, you can have 77 vocabulary words or 1,000 vocabulary words that'll be back on your screen. And now you could go in and say, well, I was looking for a word that started with M. And if I do that, then it'll go through. Now, by the way, it's even finding right now, there's 2 ways that this works. And I just want to show you this to let you know that there's some depth here, because watch. I say MA, and that's because Pima, a county in southern Arizona, I don't know that, yeah, Pima, I pronounced that right. Look at that, I got lucky. But that MA is in the middle of that. But if you click, this is where, I mean, I did program this. You click this little magnifying glass, it switches it from now it turns white. And now if I do that same MA, it doesn't find anything because it switched it into a mode that says start with. So
Wait, how did you make it switch again?
because I just click on this little magnifying glass, you see how it's blue there?
Yeah?
And then I click it again and it's white. And
Oh, right, okay.
and there's a little tooltip on it that you can't see in the demo mode, like it's showing you click to change to within or click to change to starts with. And that
Oh,
just allows you to quickly take a list that has 1,000 things in it and get your subset. And depending on how you click on this, it's whether they all start with P or they have a P within them. And you can go back and forth. Basically, you'll see you're going to find that the reason I did that is because I wanted both modes to be in there and available so that if somebody's looking for something, they can find it quickly. And that means when you combine opening one that you did 3 weeks ago, now you're in the middle of it. And now you can filter for a specific word either by the first few characters of it or characters that are within it. You can do
wow.
both. Then that means you can find the word that you have a question about when you're in progress and you're going into the booth today and you want to look at something. You can do that quickly and easily, and you can get back to it without having to run the whole thing and wait 10 minutes or 5 minutes, because vocabulary, if you have 1,000 words, takes 10 minutes. It's just there's no other way to do that quickly and have it be somewhere close to accurate. Okay, let me look at the questions here. Any questions that you have, Johnny?
No, Pima remi I used to work for a company named Pima way back when. I thought of that. Yeah, I did. It was called Professional Independent Mass Marketing Administrators. I was the, PR director, that's why no one's heard of it.
Okay. And
That's how
then,
good I was at
oh,
my
I forgot
job.
to tell. Yeah. So somebody's asking. I have 2 things. You can export it to Excel, and it'll create a Excel document that's actually pretty slick, and will get a lot better. People don't know this, but I've spent thousands, tens of thousands of hours in Excel in my earlier life. So it does export to Excel, and you can go through and you can name it, and you can do all sorts of things, or it downloads and you can go ahead and get a PDF of it. Now, remember, if you print, you got a lot of information here, and it there's only so much, depending on how you arrange your page. By the way, there will be some other things that handle that. All right.
Oh, I thought of one. This is a great. You know, it's great when you send in your files to your publisher or your
Mm-hmm.
whoever you're sending them. They may question some of your pronunciation choices.
Uh-huh.
You can just take a screenshot or send them the PDF of this.
You could. And here's the thing that I think people, short term, they're not going to trust this, which is
Yeah.
totally appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's I've been, if there's anything that I've spent insane amounts of time is understanding how in the world Google is going to deal with the pronunciation issues so that we don't have revisions. And that there's two conclusions I come to. Number one, there is no one way to pronounce anything. Almost every word has the, and depending on the context, I would say they're both, quote, right, but I
Right?
might prefer one or the other, and that sort of thing comes up. And this product is no different in that it's going to select what it thinks is the version that is most likely to apply based on a couple things. It is looking at the context, so it knew that something like AHCCS is something in Arizona that does exist. It got that from the context, and it figured out, okay, if you're in Arizona and you see this acronym, then here is how people do it. And watch this. Oh, I don't know if it'll show in this. If you go to Youglish, and you start doing this thing, then
Yeah.
what you'll end up with, and I don't know if it'll
In
play.
District 30, a constituent currently is on Access.
If you go through the 30, they have 18 of them here, you'll see that it got it right, and it is pronounced in Arizona as access. And it's doing that now. Here's the thing that nobody will know, except for me and you, is that I don't think there's any company in the world that has spent more time trying to figure out how to localize pronunciation than Google. And here's why. Maps runs in virtually it definitely runs on all the continents, but it also runs localized in about 37 languages or more. And over the last 15 years, they have refined so that they're text to speech, meaning that we have a street here that's called Sepulveda. And if you look at the spelling of Sepulveda here in Southern California, it looks like maybe Sepulveda, or I don't know. It does not look like Sepulveda. Also, Tahunga is another
Yeah.
word that's here in Southern California. I think it's a Hispanic etymology, but it's not. It's so at first it used to say Chajunga Avenue because it would pronounce the J's wrong, and today it actually says Tahunga. And Google has spent the last 15 years, because they need to be able to have maps and a bunch of other things that sound as close as possible. And so they're a lot better at localized pronunciations than I ever would have believed. And then they do this other thing. If you read through all their docs, they license Merriam-Webster, they license the dictionaries. And so people go, well, can you get me a link to the dictionary? And it's like, they don't do it that way. They have that dictionary available. They've already sucked out all those words so that as soon as they need to get one, they can grab one almost instantly. They're not going to go and run over to Merriam-Webster to get that word. They've already licensed the content from them, and they have it sitting in their system so they can quickly give you what Merriam-Webster has, but it isn't that they actually queried that, and they don't when doing this. And it's just a complicated, unbelievable mess to get pronunciation, because no matter what we do, it could be wrong. I will have a disclaimer on this that says we make a best faith effort, and Google is about the best at it that exists. And I've looked at, and they license material from all these other companies because they have so many. Yeah, they do so well, and they have that already sitting there, and then they make educated decisions, but they could make the wrong one for your context. But that's where you can simply go over here and say, yeah, but I'm going to go look at Youglish. I'm going to go do Google pronunciation and see. Maybe I'll take this one here, and let's see what it comes up here. That was for arrangement, and if I ask for pronunciation, I can get pronunciation on it. They're going to show you some videos. I have an overview of it, which actually shows how Google is going to say, we are going to say this word.
Arraignment.
So, and then there's other links to it, but Google's pronunciation is pretty amazing. But probably the most important point, I didn't have to copy the word out, go to Google, say how to pronounce arrangement. I simply went over and clicked once, and that one click caused it to come up for me. And there is even a way to get all 6 of them to come up at once. I mean, I've got some built-in shortcuts and things like that. So the more you dig in, the more you're going to find there's some cool stuff. And like I said, you don't like the way I've arranged it, cool. That's why it's available in Google Sheet format. and that's why you can download it and print it, and those are still being tuned. The whole thing's being tuned. Let me see if there's any. Oh, Lisa's. Thankfully, my wife actually knows something about English. She's the educated one in the family. I'm a college dropout. I hate to admit it, but she actually pays attention in life to a lot of things that I don't. And so Tahunga is Indian, I guess. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know if
I didn't wanna correct you throughout this whole thing because it's mostly your show. I felt badly about it. Yeah.
well, and here, what's worse, I don't know, and I don't
Tahunga
want to say I
sounds
don't.
Indian. This sounds like something Tonto would say. Come
Yeah,
on.
I'm well, Tonto, and what's the sidekick?
No, no, Tonto is the sidekick.
Okay, then yeah, I
Lone
would be the
Ranger and
horse.
Tonto.
I've been called the horses. Yeah, we'll leave that alone for now. Okay, so
Trigger's trigger. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's yeah, you know, so pronunciation is an art, and this will not get it 100% right. It can't, but it gives you the resources so that when you want to go ahead and cross check it, you can go hit these. And by doing that, you can get the YouTube and the Youglish and the Google stuff and the Merriam-Webster. And if they have it, now one of the things that will happen is sometimes there's a word that isn't available, and it'll just come up and go, sorry, because we took our best shot at it. Let's see if this one comes up. Forvo. See?
Yeah, there you go. Well
There,
done.
it'll happen sometimes that there's an oddball thing, or people make up words in some stories. That's the way it goes. What we
Done.
did was we went out and figured out. Oh, here's a German word. Let's see if it can get a German word. Let me try Merriam-Webster and get a German word. Yeah, look at that. It's it couldn't give
Blieb.
me anything. It didn't know that German. But if I go through the other ones, what I promise you is that one of those six will have it. Forvo might have it. We'll check. Let's see if Forvo comes up with it. Yep, look at that. How to
Yes.
pronounce this in German. And there's a couple examples. Now, we all know Forvo can be total crap or it can be really helpful. And but at least you didn't have to go grab that word, go put it into Forvo yourself. You just click once and it's there. All right. So it's crazy stuff. And what you can do is, does it point out typos or other type of errors in the manuscript? Well, you know what? If somebody typos something, it'll show up in the vocabulary list because it kind of says,
What
well,
is that
there's this
word?
word in there. And I don't know if it'll, here's somebody, I don't know if that's a typo, but they're speaking and they're dropping the G's. And
Oh,
so it was
combining?
there with the drop G. Yeah, and you can even see here it found the word. Oh, let me expand this so you see which one I'm doing. And it's combining. That's the way I talk naturally, so that's cool. That works
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me. Um, but what you can see is it also pulled something out so that you can see, and it dropped the final G sound and whatever it went through and found that. But yes, if somebody, I can go through these words and every once in a while I'll see something and it's like, well, that's clearly a typo, but it just detected that that's an unusual thing. And therefore, because it's unusual and it's not standard English, it pulls it out and it says, okay, well, here's how you try to pronounce this thing that looks like a typo. And it'll even say every once in a while, that looks like a typo to me, because it knows that now dropping G's, that's how some people speak.
Let me ask you a question, if I may.
Hmm.
If I okay, as a narrator, let's say I want this program.
Hmm.
So I buy the program for you, and I own the program now, right?
Sort of. No,
Okay.
it's
I
basically like the way Positron works, where it costs for running a book, and you can run it and save it and use it 20 times on any book for the cost. You buy it once. It's going to be, if somebody buys them one at a time, somewhere
so
between.
so so you purchase it for each book,
Yeah,
basically.
basically you purchase it if you want it, or I'm going to have a subscription thing that allows you to buy bundles of them.
Okay, but it's one thingamajig per book, basically.
Correct.
Okay, so I have the thingamajig for my book. Then I just put the PDF into the program. This happens
Correct.
in 5-10 minutes, and then I have this for my book, Lord of the Rings Part 1.
Correct.
Then I'm gonna do Lord of the Rings Part 2, so I need to get it again.
Correct.
And okay, that's how it works, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
just wanna make sure. And I don't know if you're ready to market yet, but when you are,
Mhm.
what steps do I take to get it so that I can use it?
Yeah, you'll have so
Or
you'll end up
am I
go
ahead of the game here?
yeah, you're ahead of the game, but that's cool. It'll happen in the next week or two. Essentially, it's like almost it's like if you do Audible and you have a
Mhm.
subscription, you get so many books a month,
Ah,
and I'll
credits,
have
like,
the same
gotcha.
sort of thing available to this that you can buy a subscription. They're discounted because you buy a pack of them. If you want to do it just one at a time, cool. And there will be a bunch of introductory pricing to where to begin with, it'll be as cheap as I can make it. Note that every single run that I make costs money. I pay
Yeah,
for all this stuff, which is what keeps it out of the copyright type things that are out there because none of this data is used to train anything. And every once in a while, I'll get somebody who says, well, I don't trust Google. And it's like, okay, but do you use Google Mail? If you've
mm,
used Google Mail to pass, if they sent you the script via email and you know, it went and you happen to have a Gmail box, it's already going through Google servers anyway. It's part of their backup. That script got not only put on their server one time, but it got backed up at some point to where it technically, most people don't realize this, but so if anybody uses Gmail, and almost everybody does these days, these scripts are going through that. If you use a Google Sheet, they have access to it. But through the paid services, they don't do any training, and they're idiots to do that. They have plenty of resources with their existing stuff. They don't need my script. And as long as I'm
yeah.
paying, and I am, then they're not keeping any of this stuff. All right. If you knew how much I'm paying for this, it's crazy. And I'm looking, can you hide vocabulary words that are obvious to you? At this minute, you cannot. Okay. But you will be able to. Matter of fact, it's one of the, it's like right now I can go through and I can expand or contract, but I can't hide. At some point, I will give you the ability to hide things. And I think ultimately I haven't decided, but I can allow you to build a list of things that you never want to see, but I haven't done that yet. First off, you aren't using it yet. And until you're using it, I'd like your opinion,
Yeah.
but I can't do everything. But that's one of the things that's on my, it's already on my roadmap. Ooh, I should show you one other thing. And I just want you to show that, to see that there's depth here. At the very bottom, there are two little circles here as I hover over them. But that means if you have a very long list, I only have 77 words here, but if you had 200 or 400, with a single click, you can go to the top. With a single click, you can go to the bottom. There's all these little usability details that almost nobody will notice at first. And then as they get into it, they'll be wowed by, oh, I can resort the words. Now I just went reverse alphabetical. I click it again. And there is an indicator there, but people won't see it. They won't understand that a single click here will expand everything. But they all work the same. A single click expands everything on that page so you can see the extent of what's really going on, but you can see a compact view and they all work the same and there's some depth, but I'm searching chapters if I'm on that.
Wow.
And there's 25 other little hidden gems in there that I think you'll be wowed about the more you end up doing it. But
If
it's
you took
just,
this to Shark Tank, you'd make a fortune, I'll tell you right now, yeah.
yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay.
This done, let's be honest, this is simply amazing. I cannot I don't know how else to say this is people watching this and who are gonna see it later have gotta be absolutely wowed. This is nothing short of brilliant. My
Well,
estimation of you, which is extremely low, has really gone up to, like, average now.
well, take a number, okay? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's been my whole life, so
On
that's
a 1
fine.
to 10, you moved up to 3 for God's sakes. Look
I'm
at
up to 2.5, and I'm striving. I got some fingernails; they're coming out. Um, this is one of those things. I did program in my 30s for a living, and so I'm going back, and I have some questions here. Can you add a word that is missed? Currently, no. It's on my roadmap because I can, I definitely can do that. I just haven't yet. Um, and could the program detect an AI generated book? It probably can't right now, um, because I haven't even tried to see what that's about. But that's like cover art, so we should talk about that for a second.
Yes,
I'm involved in a cover art discussion. Um, um, that and let me take this demo away and let's talk about cover art because I saw this discussion and Johnny and I need to dialogue this. Somebody said, "Oh, a book has an
uh,
AI cover." So I'm not going to do that book because because I don't want to support them using AI. And so I didn't mean to be, but I was a contrarian on this discussion. Johnny, if you can tell me you're full of it, if that's your point of view.
No, no, you meant to be. You said you were gonna be a contrarian in your first sentence.
Yeah, so what happens is, my thing is, if it's a bad book cover, don't take the book.
Yes.
That's totally what you should do. But understand this, a bad AI cover is somebody that doesn't know how to use the tech well any more than somebody can take Photoshop and I could have a bodybuilder body when I really have a dad body. I'll just admit that out loud. I'm sorry. Um, I'm not here without my shirt for a reason. Okay. And, but if somebody out there had enough skills, they could take my head and put it on my sons they are amazing. They're both under 30. They're just awesome. And I could look like I have a great body or a better body. And the rest of you who know me would go, well, that ain't true. But if somebody doesn't know me, I could do it well enough if I knew enough about Photoshop and it could look real. We've all been fooled by that photo where it's like, whoa, there's no way Don looks that good in real life. That's obvious. But through a photo on Photoshop. Now, an AI cover that you can tell is an AI cover means that person didn't take the time to use the tool well, just like I could do the same thing, but in Photoshop. But I was able to do it faster. Matter of fact, you can create the most trash things in AI quickly. It's awful. But if you know how to use the tools, and what I submit is that good AI covers are like good Photoshop covers where you will not be able to tell when you're looking at it that it's just either it's a good cover or a bad cover. And if you know how to use the tools, I can take a cover and create 6 variations on that and create those 6 variations. So I get my main one that I want, but I could get 6 variations in 5 minutes and find something that might be better than what I thought of or a different view. And so judge a book by its cover. That's legit. Telling me right now that, well, I'm not going to take an AI cover, it's like, yeah, that means they didn't take the care, but that doesn't mean AI covers are really the problem. It's the person who was operating the AI did not do a good job with that. And therefore, yes, don't necessarily work with that author. And did they use AI for their book? Here's my theory. If Don's writing a book, AI would improve it. Okay. Now, AI actually could do a better job than me at many writing tasks, and that's fine. So if I had a story to tell that was a legitimate, good story, I
Yeah.
would use AI to help me not say dumb things in written format that I might say out loud. I've said it.
I'd say AI I can write better and act better than AI, but
Absolutely.
I don't think I could pick a cover better. I couldn't design a cover better if I knew how to use it.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're gonna make judgments, yeah, in this in especially ACX and those kind of royalty share books, you are judging a book by a cover. You don't have to judge the book itself in terms of an acting thing, but if that's the cover they're going with, that's how they're marketing, and it looked like that one did, that'd be reason enough not to take the book,
Correct.
regardless of your general opinion of AI usage or not, from an artistic standpoint. In terms of a financial standpoint, you do judge a book by its cover when it's especially if it's a crappy cover.
Yep.
There's no point, you're not even gonna open it. So there's a lot to be said for your alleged contrarian view, which I don't think is contrarian necessarily.
Well, it's just a matter of I don't think there is such thing as a AI cover versus a non. That'd be like saying a bad Photoshop cover versus a good
Yeah, yeah,
Photoshop cover, and I mean those that legitimately do exist. A
yeah.
bad AI cover does exist, but I'm not going to judge it.
It
And also, some author, they just spent 3 years writing a book about their life story, whatever, or a story that they wanted to tell. And I have to admit, most of them are not artists and they
yeah.
don't think about the cover until after they've written this for X years and now they're just sick of this darn thing. And some of them
Yeah,
don't do what they should do.
or
Hire
they may
somebody that could do it.
hire an artist who uses AI, and they're
Correct.
not gonna know it.
Correct. And you know what's going to happen? The artists, just like the Photoshop people, I have a daughter-in-law. She's a photographer and she knows how to light and f-stops and all the little details related to taking great photos.
Mm.
And then she brings it into Photoshop and she does other little subtle things
Yeah,
in
yeah,
5
Joey does that,
minutes
yeah.
that are amazing. And I don't, when it's done, you don't, I don't know that she put it in Photoshop. I happened to be at my son's place and saw her do this, and it's like, wow, I wish I could do that. I
Yeah,
can't. I don't
yeah.
know the tool. I can't do it quickly. And AI is just the same way for that. So definitely
We
don't
we
take
we are
him.
running to the end here. Don, when will this be, what should people do who want this?
You need it. So I probably have another week of finalized testing. I'm within days of allowing it to go live. I will open it up for subscriptions first, and then I'll let people do one-offs after that. Um, there's a bunch of little infrastructure things that have to happen, but I'm less than a week away. It may come out in 2 days. It just depends on how the testing goes. I do need a few more testers. Now, here's the rules for testing. You can test on anything you've already done because I need you to validate the results. And if you do it on a new book and it gives you this great summary and you're like, well, I don't know, is that really the book? So, and then if you're doing that and you want to go ahead and try one of your upcoming books, I just say, hey, throw something in my coffee fund because it does cost me when you
Yeah.
do that. Whatever, you put the amount in there. If it's helpful for you, if you figure out, did that just save you 2 days? If it saved you nothing, don't put anything in the coffee fund. If it saved you 3 days of prepping, then you decide what that something and throw it in the coffee fund until it's legit where I'm actually charging for it because I have huge costs. I upgraded my servers. It's crazy. The monthly I'm paying on servers is nuts. Every run costs me something. So I'm really happy with it, but it's not a cheap thing to do this. So all right. Well, yeah, it's definitely AI works as an assistant, not as a replacement. And as far as AI can't write in your style, what's amazing is if I feed it a bunch of my own writing, it actually can write in my style. It can sound just as dumb as me, as a rock sometimes with it, if that's what I feed it as an example. But I guarantee you, if you feed it the right examples, so that it sees, it will mimic you, and it's just wild how it will get the things and the way you say it coming back at you. And one of my adult sons was doing
That's
something and
frightening
did it.
in the extreme.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Not
But
not amazing, it's frightening.
it's frightening, and the one thing that it comes
Nothing
down
short of
to,
horrible.
using the tools well is different than using the tools, but it's the same thing when I narrate.
Hey,
Hey,
Don,
anybody can read.
we gotta go.
Okay. Anybody
It's
can read. Most people can't narrate. Okay. So you have a
once again, real
fantastic
quick,
week.
let you know that,
Who's
if you
next
wanna
week?
join Sean Pratt and I of a fiction, nonfiction workshop, January 27th, 28th, go to Voiceover Extra with the letter X for extra.com and you can sign up there. And
Awesome.
Don, this is wonderful. Thanks for sharing this. Just brilliant stuff. Next week, Rich Nadgett is our guest. So we'll see you then.
Yeah. And as always, we'll see you on the wires. You have a great one. See ya.
Thanks, Don. Brilliant stuff.
Bye bye.